Archpriest Sergiy Baranov. God Who Is, 10 January 2023.
Царя Небесный, Утешителя души истины, и же везде и вся исполняй сокровища благих. Жизнеподателя прииди и вселися вны, и очистенные от всякие скверны, спаси блажи души наши.
In the book of Sophrony Sakharov, the Venerable Sophrony Sakharov, about Saint Silouan of Athos, there is a moment when a Catholic theologian came to Athos in order to examine the rich libraries of Athos, including the library of Saint Panteleimon Monastery. A peculiar detail was described there. The theologist was amazed at how the Athonites, who had no academic theological education, read such highly spiritual books. He was surprised. How do your monks, these simpletons who I see before me, read these highly spiritual books? To which Saint Silouan answered him, they do not simply read them. Moreover, if these books disappear for some reason, then our monks will write new ones for themselves. On remembering this story about Saint Silouan of Athos now, I would like to get out a message that one and the same book may seem very complicated and may be very natural and simple. The reader should simply be into the material. Those Athonites practiced spiritual life. They did not go to academies, seminaries, or theological universities. This was the way of their lives, simple and dedicated. They taught from their instructors, spiritual guides, and they constantly lived in practice, not in theory. This is why many books, even the books of the Holy Fathers who wrote about high things, were natural for them. I would also like to relate one more story that I like. When Sophrony Sakharov lived near the ARCHPRIEST Monastery, in a small cave on the seashore, he was a confessor of the Greek ARCHPRIEST Monastery and many nearby skeet dwellers then. Our Russian monk, and he lived in a cave. He fully nourished himself. His soul nourished itself on this spiritual retreat and prayer. He describes the following story. In those times, he was amazed as he met monks who did not even suspect themselves of being in the uncreated light. This was the result of their gradual, smooth, gentle, and natural entrance into this state. They did not have some extraordinary feelings about this, but lived naturally. This is why they thought everyone lived like this, and this saved them from pride and self-opinion. So, this theologist theoretic, who came to grub about in the libraries of Athos, found these books very complicated and too high. While for the monks who practiced spiritual life, they were natural, not primitive, but exactly, I will apply this word, natural. Today I would like to introduce my small book, which is named God Who Is, Essays on the Jesus Prayer. I represent it as my personal and, surely to some extent, subjective experience. This is not my theory, but my experience, which I simply share with you. I do not force it upon you, nor do I insist on something. I do not write anything dogmatic, saying you should do this way and there is no other. I am trying to share my personal experience with my readers. In my opinion, one's personal experience, not theory, is always of a great interest, because it is experience. I have always tried to work this way. At least, I tried to do it sincerely and gain experience. I had both negative and positive experiences. This was the experience of mistakes and falls and of rises and some revelations. And again, I underline this once more. I only share my experience with my readers. Like a brother and like a Christian. In no way do I impose my experience and my thoughts upon you, so that you should do only this way without any options. Why did I begin with that story about Saint Silouan of Athos? For some people, the book, especially its beginning, might seem complicated. This will necessarily happen if a person is not into the subject. If he or she does not practice the Jesus prayer, it is complicated not only in its style and understanding, but because the reader is simply not into the subject. He does not practice it, and it comes out naturally that he does not understand some things. In addition, I would like to explain why I allowed myself to leave complexity in some details. I did it so the feeling that the Jesus prayer is not a primitive doing remained. The Jesus prayer is spiritual poetry, a very benign doing, and one should not belittle it to primitivism. It is really spiritual poetry. The Holy Fathers used to say about it, a science beyond all sciences and an art beyond all arts. It is like advanced mathematics, which presupposes some complicated notions and comparatively high knowledge. This is why I suppose that if someone reads through the Spirit and experience, then he or she, I would like it very much, will acquire something useful. Acquire, among the rest of the useful things, the feeling of reading about something very, very high and mysterious. Feel that this is a practical theology, not theoretical, but practical. If it might seem incomprehensible or confusing for someone, I apologize in advance. I underline this again. I only share what I have and do not impose anything. That's it. Glory to our God, always, now, and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen.